I don't want to bore you because we're not a forensic course. I think I gave you the list the other day. Now I see Michael Bryant is joining me in this conversation. There you go.
Could I have the forensics course, please? Because
I'm going to give you the forensics course back.
My notepad ready to go here.
So the totality of the circumstances, they would not give it up. All right, he was there, and he was there to rehabilitate the case on redirect. That no matter what, they believed, even without really, that shots had been fired. Okay, they believed it, and I can see that, as I said, Michael, I don't know if you were listening. I said, well, you could say either Joe got himself into a pickle because that's what they believe, or they're not going to believe anything else, anything, no matter what.
How bad does Relly have to have been that you have a cop come on who's already testified in a way that at best is a break even, to get him to say, let's pretend Relly wasn't even here. Let's pretend he never testified. Let's pretend that this jury didn't hear him lie after lie after lie. Let's just set that aside. You think a shooting took place? A shooting?
Firing of a gun. It didn't say the firing.
Shooting of a gun. Firing
of a gun. Right.
So when do we start getting charged with? I know. Should the charge be some sort of discharging a firearm in city limits? Is that what this is about now? I don't know. It's just sad.
I asked them to look. I'm actually going to take off my file for you. I can't because my microphone's attached to it. We had a snowstorm here in New York, by the way. So this is
I sent you my little video, but I guess you didn't have a chance to look at it because
I didn't have a chance.
I was out plowing.
I will. You were plowing.
I was out plowing.
It's been pretty wild here in New York City. But Tandra Cook said Glock more than 50 times more than 20 million have been sold here. Is that here in the United States? Within what period of time? The cops all use Glocks. By the way.
That might just be in LA County.
Oh, in LA County, right?
I'm only being slightly facetious.
Yeah. So I've been blathering about not blathering, but really about how ridiculous it is. No matter what, they're going to believe him. And then when you know what got me too, Michael, when Joe went up and they said, "Well, can we take really out of the equation?" And there was an objection by Lewin. Objection, improper hypothetical. You can't take really out of the equation. Then their side got back up and said, taking really out of the equation was there a shooting? And Joe got up and said, okay.
It's just so desperate. And, this all leads us to that moment we expect to be coming when the prosecution rests and Joey T stands up, says, yes, a matter of law and motion, Your Honor. And then, of course, the jury will be excused. And then the fireworks will begin. And he'll make his motion for directed verdict and he'll argue it. And he's got so much to work with. It's going to be quite fun to watch.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun to watch. And the judge can come down and say, well, we had the testimony, Detective Flores, who said at the end that he believed there was a shooting of a weapon, I guess, because he didn't say of really, right? He never said a shooting of really, right? Shooting of a weapon, and that's enough to go to a jury. I mean, the standard is so ridiculous.
No. Yes, and we know that, and we anticipate that, but I don't know how much worse it can possibly get for the judge to totally ignore the fact that there is no case here. There is no case. Maybe there is a gun that was shot at some point at some time, but there's no evidence of that unless it was a prop gun or some gun without a projectile.
Right.
Because there's been no evidence of any projectile or evidence of any projectile damage that you're probably going to get if you shoot a weapon. And these guys, this is LAPD. They have been involved in a number of shooting investigations, one or two, right? And they know what to find, what to look for, what the indicia of a gunshot into a building, into the ground. Even when you shoot a gun in the air, that projectile does not go up in orbit with an Elon satellite. It comes down. In fact, there's stories, I'm sure you've heard them, where somebody has died from a projectile that was fired in the air, and on the return, boop.
And then there's a manslaughter case, or there's a murder case because you were intending to shoot something else.
Like New Year's Eve. You'll hear that New Year's Eve, people are out just firing
all
off
the
guns.
all the time in the country. Not in New York, but in the country, right?
My point is, the projectile comes down, and there's no evidence.
It doesn't go poof. It doesn't disappear. Go poof.
And it doesn't just join, a Skylab up there and float around with all the other space junk. No. So I just can't wait to hear these arguments. And of course, Lewin is going to be very entertaining as he tries to refute the motion for directed verdict. I just can't wait to hear it.
Well, he kept getting up and telling what Paulie P. what question to ask in the redirect. And that was,
Well, that's what
but then
most
we had the
second chair do,
recourse.
right? Most second chair attorneys tell the lead attorney how to handle it. That's
Yeah, oh
normal.
yeah, all the time. That's almost so embarrassing. So Miss Shorty's here. She stopped by to say yes. She gifted 5 memberships to us this morning. Oh,
Oh, that
Miss
was so
Shorty.
nice.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm still going to try and figure out what time it is there. I think it's like 7
Let's see.
a.m.
Is it
Am I
7
close?
a.m.? I
Am I
thought you were
close
going
to
to go.
that?
Miss
It's
Shorty
something
had,
7, maybe 8 a.m. I don't know for sure. I thought it was
she's gonna answer
14,
us.
15, 16 hours, something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
We had so many comments on the stuff we posted. When we do a live, we then repost it for later in the day or early the
Right,
next day.
right. And I
And
didn't get a chance to go to them because I actually have other work sometimes I had to do. But
I understand. I
yeah.
understand. And well, if I hadn't been the one who cut them and put them back up, I might not have remembered what we were doing either. But the comments, I'm going to fish for a few while we're talking, just because I think there were some great questions.
You got it. 7:17 a.m. Friday. Yes,
Ah,
yes.
there
You
you
got
go.
it, Michael.
I knew it was close.
You got it. Thank you. You were really on early then today with us. Thank you very much. And we've been thanking you very much. We've been trying to get. We're going to try to do a show with Miss Shorty, as you know. Try to get a time that maybe this is the kind of time that works. Something at 7. I don't know, 7 in the morning.
Yeah, early evening for us.
Maybe noon for her, and
Yeah.
then it goes. What would be the time there? It'd be like another 5 hours. It'd be noon for her. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Marissa's going to try to figure it out with the Shorty, so we can try to do a joint show together. Yes,
that'd be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and just so tonight, by the way, at 7 p.m. our time, not only we're going to continue this, but we do have our dear friend Doug Weinstein is going to be with us, from YSL Yak Gotti fame. Hopefully, Yak will be out of jail one of these days. He did get a not guilty, and he'll briefly address the Jackie Johnson case yesterday. We talked about, because at least he's in Georgia, he knows Georgia law, and then we had some fun stuff that was happening. We'll have to post it for you later on. You know what? Fonnie Willis is having a party. Did you know that, Michael?
Oh, I did not get my invite. It must have been delayed in the snow or something.
Yeah, she's having a party.
What's the purpose?
Well, because she's now the inaugural gala of the district attorney, Fonnie Willis, because she won re-election on February 13th, 2025. Now, you can go, by the way, even if you don't have an invitation, if you want to donate $25,000,
let me
you
check
can do that.
Let me see.
You can go VIP tickets, a little $750. We'll try to show it to you afterwards, and maybe I'll post it on my Twitter account. Yeah, you're welcome to go. But if you want to be a Supreme Justice, you have to give $25,000 to be a sponsor of Fonnie Willis's inaugural. I'm sure we'll see if Doug is going to go. We're going to ask Doug tonight.
I'm sure Doug will be there. Max will be there. Brian Steele.
Well, I'll get into your asset for tonight, Michael, because that's something that I'm sure they're all going to want to see.
Oh yeah. It's like one of those fancy invites, right? I think I've seen the invite. I just didn't get one. So
yeah, well, we forwarded it to you. Our producers got it for us so that we can use it tonight. Yeah, and have you all see it. Okay, so what else did you hear? Because I was like, God Almighty, what are they going to do to rehab him? And that's the only thing they could do to rehab him. Is what do you think? What do you think?
I just feel like they're playing out the string, like even they, meaning the prosecution, doesn't have any dreams that this is going to bear fruit, but they're just, they're zealously advocating. I think they obviously should never have begun their advocation for this prosecution, but now that they're in, I think they're just trying to avoid a directed verdict. I think for the prosecution, a hung jury would be a victory. Normally, a hung jury is a loss for the prosecution, but I think for them in this case, it would be a victory. So I think they got this ballistics guy out there he's not ballistics. What did he call himself?
Well, he said he was a firearms comparator, tool mark, commonly known as ballistics, which is what I've been telling you all. That the ballistics is the science of the projectile,
the trajectories
and all that kind of
those
stuff.
Cool reconstructions we see where they shine a light through something and they show where the path would be. Or back in the day, they would use the rods, right?
Right.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Can't do that when you don't have any bullets flying around. All you have are two sounds. You have two
Yeah,
sounds.
but so if the question was, okay, for all of you, if you take really out of the equation, okay, without really being there, do you believe, officer, that there was a shooting? Without saying, do you believe, officer, I'm going to get technical here, there was a shooting of Relly by Aesop Rocky. Does that do enough to get them past that directed verdict? I mean, I'd even go there.
Okay, let's say that question is asked. I'd object for lack of foundation, calls for speculation. Because what does he have? What would he have to lay a
He was
foundation for
asked
that?
that. He was asked that.
And what
He
was
was.
and wasn't it objected to?
Yeah, and then but it went when Joe asked it, it was objected to. Prosecution came back and asked it. It wasn't, the judge let it go on, and I think Joe wanted it to happen because then he can go back and say, but without Relly, right? Without, what do you mean without Relly? But the question wasn't, and I'm particularizing. The question wasn't, sir, with taking Relly out or without Relly, do you believe there was a shooting of Relly by Aesop Rocky? I mean, to me, that has to be the question, not do you believe there was a shooting?
Yeah, and that gets back to my original point, which is let's erase Relly from the jury's memory, because that's what you'd have to do for that hypothetical. We don't care what he said, but was there, in fact, based on other evidence in your investigation, a shooting by Rocky of Relly? Can anybody give that opinion?
Right.
Credibly?
Yeah, and they get supported because they try to interview the guy with the knife 2 weeks ago, and he wouldn't give an interview. So because he wouldn't give an interview that supported what they said, that supports that there was a shooting. Am I in Alice in Wonderland?
We're through the looking glass, people, as Costner said in the Kennedy film. Also, I heard bits and pieces of some correction of a report on I think it was redirect of Torres asking about a report that he had made suggesting that somebody had a knife,
right,
and it had been attributed to the wrong person.
Right.
What was the deal there?
And he said, yes, it was a mistake. Yes, it was a mistake. Yes, it was never corrected. Yes, it was a mistake. And then that's where Joe got into, well, did you ever try to interview X? No, we didn't try to interview X. Did any from your office try to? But no, we didn't. Well, yes, we did. But when was that? It turns out that it was 2 weeks ago. And the prosecution let that, by the way, the prosecution didn't get out that it was 2 weeks ago. They said, yes, we did try to interview it. And he said no. So the implication was he was not cooperating with the police. That's why the police couldn't do their job. But it turns out he was not cooperating with the police 2 weeks ago because they never went all these years to try to interview him. And
was
you know, as I know, the guy supposedly holding the knife. You and I know that what lawyer is going to let him interview with the police now?
Well, of course. Well, and you know that they asked right at the start of trial, anybody, want to talk? In fact, included Relly and Justin, who didn't show up in this case, the business partner.
Right.
They were in court to be asked by the judge, hey, anybody here willing to talk? No, we're not.
No.
So yeah, not a surprise.
Because they have something called a Fifth Amendment right. And what is that?
I've heard of that. You can't incriminate yourself. But we also have perjury laws that didn't stop Relly from ramrodding his testimony through. Who's it? Tondra Cook? Yeah, North Carolina, you're firing those pistols in the air. Watch out where those projectiles come down. It happens.
Yeah, we hear them in the Catskills on New Year's Eve or any celebratory 4th of July and all. And I always say, keep the make sure the dog is in the house because you don't know what happens with the projectiles because everyone's firing them in the air because we're living in the country where everyone has guns and that's what you do. Well, not me.
You just do that. Yeah.
Not me. I just don't do that. But I prefer to be shopping, as you all know.
Okay, so
yeah. Oh,
so
thank you for calling. Thank you for calling me glamorous. I actually have my workout clothes on.
Look at this. Even when she's working out, she's glammed.
Thank you.
So what's going to happen now? We're going to have the balance of this guy, whatever he's called.
Yeah.
And then that should be it.
I think that should be it, right? That's going to be it. And then the question is there going to be enough time to do? I have a feeling that this guy's going to take all afternoon after lunch because I know I would. I took almost 2 days or about 5 hours, better part of 2 days with Detective Camper if you do it right. But maybe not. Maybe Joe's going to figure he's on a roll and won't. And then the motions would be tomorrow. And then the defense case, if there is a defense case, would start next week. That's what I feel. I don't even know if you need to put a defense case on.
Yeah, I'm not sure he needs to either, but depends maybe on how this expert plays out and how the cross-examination of this expert goes.
Right.
And I have to believe there's not a lot to work with in this expert's opinion. It's not like he's going to have 5 or 6 opinions that involve a lot of testing and a lot of analysis. I mean, it's a very finite bit of facts and a lot of missing facts. I can't imagine the cross after he rips them on the key components is going to take all that long. I'm sure, when you were involved with that ballistics case or that expert, it was a much bigger.
Yes, yeah. I'll
case.
try to get the link for the cross, or I'm sure Missy or Dizzy can find it. It was actually Law and Crime. It was the first case that they televised, but they didn't have anybody commenting or anything on it.
Okay, so
in
it's
her
back to
hands, so.
all things come back full circle.
It's
Yeah.
the most amazing thing. Yeah. First time they televised, and yeah, well, I won't go there. You know where I wanted to go, but I won't go there.
Okay. So what's going to be the
that's a good point.
argument?
Wait, that's going to be a good point.
If
Law
it's
and
not
Heard.
fire, they can't prove it.
Law and Heard PHL, right?
How
You
badly
can't
they
prove it.
messed up.
Don't checking the. That's a really good point, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, okay, I'll give you that. Shots were fired. Okay,
Yeah.
now where are we?
Oh, well, look at this control. I didn't know that him having a prop gun makes sense against Wally because he's passive aggressive. Sonny Liston scared Muhammad Ali also in a casino. I didn't know that. I have to go back and look at that. That's why historical content is so important a lot. And then also, you're on this case. I know I can appreciate the conversation with Wally. 5 shots, the conversation with the police, 3 or 4 shots, and only 2 cartridge casings,
That's one of the few things I gave Relly a break on, just because of the nature of what's happening, and it's you're all discombobulated, and somebody is in theory shooting at you. Okay, maybe it was 4, maybe it was 5. Oh, it was only 2. Yeah, that I don't fault him too much.
You know what happens though whenever they say Wally? I think of the movie Wally with the robot. I keep saying Wally. Wally.
I think of Wally World. So we're both in the cinema there.
Well, that's because when you're listening to this case, it's so ridiculous in terms of meeting the burden. A serious case like this should have been seriously, but there's really, I mean, I don't know how if the judge has the kind of sneakers that the judge in the Alec Baldwin case had, this judge should dismiss this case on a directed verdict. But it's
they had the shoe testimony, right? They had some shoe testimony.
Shoe testimony.
Yeah, didn't they have some shoe testimony in this case, or no?
About what?
I thought they had some shoe testimony, not testimony from shoes.
Oh,
but some evidence of potential shoes at the scene. I thought I saw something on that.
I don't remember it. I must have been. Well, look. If somebody mentions shoes, I just go down and look at mine, and I go, I'm kind of not interested in the shoes at this scene. Now, if you were talking about the shoes that's out of the Louboutin store, I'd be doing that. I would notice that the new I guess it's the new AG of the United States, Pam Bondi. She was in the same special I was in when we did. I was in the Casey Anthony special on the other side, and she was wearing red-soled shoes, Louboutins at that point. I think she even wore them. I think she even wore them this time. I'm not sure.
Well,
but
Relly could afford those.
No. Relly
was hoping to afford them.
Relly was hoping to afford those shoes. Relly was broke. Relly was hoping to have a lifestyle in front of the Rolls or the Mercedes? I guess it was a Mercedes.
Oh yeah, was it a Maserati? Was there a Maserati?
There may have been a Maserati. I know one was a Mercedes too, and the private jet. I didn't get the name of what type of private jet it was. It was just a private jet. He was hoping to have that because you gotta
have dreams. We have a question here. I know it's not a question. Thanks for gifting the 5 Justice Served memberships. You guys already talked about this while I was gone?
Yes. Yeah, Miss Shorty did. Yes, she did. Yeah.
Then,
yes, she did.
Then
right off the bat.
Again.
And they've been good. Yeah. Really, thank you very much. I mean, well, thank all of you very much. And, just great and last night, a lot of you were on talking. We were on and we had 3 different topics last night. We were doing Jackie Johnson. We were doing the Penny McGee case, which was also a not guilty case out of Judge Bev's courtroom. Can we talk about that for a little bit? Do you guys mind? You guys don't mind if we talk just a few minutes?
Shift to Karen Reed a little bit.
Yeah, Karen Reed. Karen Reed was in court this morning. We remember they're supposed to be in court either Thursday or Friday, or Thursday and Friday, or they picked a date. Well, they picked Thursday today. And you knew it was kind of important, even though it was supposed to be a motion just for. And you and I had this discussion earlier by text. It was supposed to be a motion just for her recouping her $12,000 in costs. Um, as soon as I saw that Alan Jackson was there, I think I texted you, oh, that's not just this going on here. And so what happened, Michael?
Well, it really was technically just the motion for the 12,000 and change that the defense wanted back from the state, because the Commonwealth hasn't spent enough money on this case. So they wanted their 12 grand back because they said it was only necessary to hire this expert, fly them out to Massachusetts to look at the magic DVR that sometimes does have video on it of the Sally Port and those areas, and sometimes doesn't. Depends on the time of day and who's finding it. So they wanted this expert to come out and look themselves. And Jackson's point was that, if they hadn't screwed us over, that wouldn't have been necessary. It was something they caused. That was the technical part of the motion. But he spun this, and it really kind of genius the way he did it, because if nothing else, he's foreshadowing for the court what's coming in the motion to dismiss. He talked about all of these various Brady violations, in his opinion, Brady violations about the things related to these videos that have not been turned over, not been preserved, right?
Right.
Even though a formal notice was made twice to preserve this material, and there's kind of an unspoken duty to do that anyway.
Right.
Asking for it formally is just on top of that, and the Commonwealth failed over 3+ years to turn over this material.
Before we get back to that with 3+ years, Ms. Shorty has a question. The question: why? I know she's working. Why has this case taken 4 years to go to trial? Is simply court backlog, or? Well, let's start with one. It's L.A. Everything takes longer. Number two, we did have a pandemic in the kind of sort of at the end of it. Number three, it does involve. They had another celebrity case going on, therse. And then they were catching up on the pandemic. So I think that's really what was mounted. And also, it's LA. Everything takes longer. It just takes forever. But
getting out that's what we call it in California. When you get a courtroom, we call it getting out, because you can have a call to go to court and not get out. And that's especially true in the civil world, because civil world is second to the criminal cases. Criminal cases, constitutional right, speedy trial, and all of that. So, if you're in the civil world there, very few trials get out. But it also, the backlog affects the criminal cases too. And it's also, I think, part of it, the internal issues that might have been going on with Gascon on his way out and doing all kinds of, he was struggling in the last year of his term. And I think it probably just got back burner treatment too.
Yeah. Well, maybe because of Relly, I don't know. Maybe I would like to know. I tell you what, when this finishes, I would like to know, was there an internal investigation? Did they have a ethics investigation, or somebody come in to separately evaluate the ethics of going forward on Relly's testimony with his statement on the tape? To that he says is AI, right? That he wanted the bag, the 30 million. And I'm going to go back to it again, because I assume Joe's going to go back to it again, because I would. He needed to get a lawyer to get that bag, because or else it's called extortion. Okay. And I'd like to know if were there internal investigations, were there internal discussions, are there internal memos? I think if there are, I think those are Brady, Michael.
I think you're right, but I'll bet you there aren't, because they were so lax in, we talked about this last night, Relly was clearly never prepped for this trial. And if he was never prepped, if they never spoke to him to the degree, and it doesn't sound like it would have taken much. I could talk to this guy for 15 minutes and tell this is a shaky witness. I don't think any of that was ever done. They had the report, they had this grainy video, a couple of casings. And, let's go forward with it. It's a big, celebrity defendant. Let's do it. So I agree. If they had done that kind of investigation, there would be some evidence of it. I'd just be shocked if they did anything, because he was so bad and so unprepared on the stand.
Well, let me ask you this then. Let me go one step forward. They made a determination. Let's assume, I'm going to hypothetically, okay? Let's assume they were discussing it, but made a determination not to talk to Relly, because if they found out anything different, they'd have to turn it over, or if they put him on the stand knowing there would be something different, it'd be suborning perjury. Take that as a next hypothetical.
Yeah, I think objection, incomplete hypothetical. No, I think that that is almost as bad, really, as knowing somebody is going to lie. That you're almost tacitly thinking this person is not truthful. So I don't even want to ask them questions to confirm whether or not they are truthful. I think there's an obligation to not put a witness up there with even the thought that that witness might be a liar or not be completely truthful about the facts of a case, especially when it's the witness, right? This is not some peripheral witness, not some precipient. I was walking down the street and I heard a couple of shots fired. I looked, I didn't see anybody. Fine. This is the witness. This is the case. So,
and I don't know, do you remember whether or not, and maybe our viewers remember, I thought the prosecution not promised, but said that there were other people that witnessed this that were going to testify, and that the girlfriend was with Relly when he picked up the cartridges, and she was going to testify. I thought they said that everybody at that location, or at least one or two of them, were going to testify, including the girlfriend. I think they promised that an opening.
At this time in a trial, well, usually I wait a little longer because usually I expect a defense case. I'm not sure there will be one here. But I go back and I listen to the openings to see what they promised and to see, okay, what can I nail them on? If I'm opposing whoever that is,
Right.
what can I, well, you heard the prosecution promise you that there'd be witnesses telling you that night they accompanied Relly back to the scene. Where is that video? Where is that proof? Where's that witness? So this is a good time if there's going to be a directed verdict that has a whiff of being granted. Now's a good time to look back at the promises made by the prosecution.
Maybe we should do that over the weekend and see what the prosecution promised. I don't think it was that long of an opening.
It wasn't. Neither one was all that long. Yeah.
Now, Been There says, and Relly said the gun was pulled out by Rocky for self-defense on the phone call with Wally. Absolutely true. It said there he pulled the gun out, pulled it out for self-defense. So now you have. Let me ask you this one. So if he pulls out, whether it's a prop gun or a real gun, once Relly says there was self-defense, and you see Joe kind of went there, I think, in one of the crosses, because when he had Relly, he said, "Did you grab who by the lapels, right? Didn't you grab him and push him into the back,
pushing,
right?
Who's pulling,
Who's pushing, who pulling?" He now has given ASAP Rocky a self-defense argument without ASAP Rocky testifying. Isn't that true?
That's a good observation. I don't know if I would make a point of that in closing, because I'm not sure it's all that obvious to the jury. But in reality, if there was ever a chance Rocky was going to take the stand, and we knew that was slim to none, now that just reinforces that decision. Sit down, Rock. Just watch this unfold, because it's not a true self-defense case. It's just not.
Yeah. Well, Tandra Cook said, it appeared to me that Relly was the aggressive one and continued by running after them. Thoughts, Michael?
Yeah, well, remember there was that contradiction in the preliminary hearing testimony, and there were lots of them. November 2023, the prelim took place. A lot of these same witnesses testified. There's a big old transcript. We heard most of it. It was like Masterpiece Theater with Joey T reporting all of these. Well, what about, let's go to this page and this line. In the preliminary hearing, he was asked, as he was in trial here, he was asked, well, were you afraid of Rocky? When you followed him, because there was a big dispute about, did I run after him? Did I skip? So they agreed that he followed. You agree, Mr. Relly, you followed him, Mr. Efron. In the trial, he said, yes, I was angry. I was afraid of him. I was afraid. And in the preliminary hearing, he said, no, I wasn't. So it may seem like a simple contradiction, but logic tells you, if somebody is threatening your life, you don't chase after them. I don't know. Just logic.
I just kind of run away. I mean, I wouldn't chase after them unless I had some kind of big old tank that I could ram into them. I don't know about that. But Lily says that's why they wanted him to take a plea, because the case was weak, and it was a very light plea, if I recall. Do you remember what it was?
It was 180 days, as I recall. 180 days, and then 5 years probation, something like that. And up front, a lot of people were like, "Boy, that's a sweet deal." Why he doesn't take it? And we were thinking, there's got to be more to this. There's just got to be more to it. You're not just going to be so, so self-righteous that I'm going to beat this rap. You could take that position to your detriment, and then you wish you took the plea. Sarah Boone comes to mind as somebody who could have taken 15 years, and instead she's doing life. But I don't see that here. But we knew something. Well, now we know the Relly factor. The Relly factor is blowing up this case, and the prosecution would have considered it a win if they could have sold Rocky on that plea deal.
And that's what happened in YSL, right? After 2 years of trial, you come in and the judge is going to grant a mistrial. So you offer these plea deals that people get out of jail right there. No matter what you plead to anything to get out of jail.
Yeah.
It's to me, that's like blackmail and extortion. It's like legal
There's no
blackmail and
doubt.
extortion.
No
So
doubt.
yeah. So we kind of saw that. And then Fonnie Willis wins and she gets to claim victory, which we've seen the office claiming. She's gotten convictions from, all the YSL gang, and she's got people to admit it's a YSL gang. So, all the bad stuff goes, like washed under the carpet, it seems to me, when you do that. And all the bad stuff would have gone washed under the carpet. Now, what do you think about A$AP Rocky's demeanor in the courtroom, Michael?
I think it's been very good. He's calm. I see him contributing, to the team as much as we see him sitting there, but he's not, demonstrative. I think I once or twice may have seen a slight head shake, SMH, the kids say, shaking my head. But no, I think he's been great. What do you think?
No, I thought so too. I thought he's very calm. He doesn't, he's appropriate. I think he's incredibly appropriate. The jury did not see the moment that was reported that we didn't see either, because the cameras were off, where apparently Joe Tacopino and John Lewin got into it when Lewin told Tacopino that the prop gun defense was bullshit of some sort.
And the jury was gone, though, right? The jury was out.
The jury was gone, right?
Okay.
And apparently, then there was, you should go on. Then Joe said something back, and then Lewin said something back. Take more steroids, and Tacopino said something back about go vacation at Robert Thurst's wife's house again, because apparently he did with his daughter, and apparently. It was reported that actually that A$AP Rocky stood in his stand suit, stood in between them and kind of separated them. Now the jury didn't see it,
right,
but I think for people that were in the gallery, they saw it. So unless you're a moron, or you're on the payroll, or you want to go, you don't want to go, you don't want to support any kind of rap figure because your gig is not supporting rap figures, and becoming famous, not supporting rap figures, going against rap culture. That had to be a pretty good moment for A$AP Rocky.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, like a regular dude, just trying to prevent two maybe angry men from who knows? It might have been interesting to see what happened if he didn't step in between those two. I'll take Joe Tacopino.
I think Joe Tacopino boxes. I think I've
so?
seen on his. I think I've seen on one of his social medias, Instagram or whatever, that he actually boxes. I mean, I think he was a boxer. We should. Can you guys who are watching this? Can you guys Google that to see whether Joe Tacopino boxes or
when we get your buddy on here, we'll ask.
Yeah, we're increasing everyone's coming on now that we're talking here for questions. Does anyone else have questions of us? We love to answer our own questions, but we prefer to answer your questions. Okay.
I have a question for Joe when he comes on. How much you bench? Oh.
How much do you bench?
How much you bench? Yeah.
Oh, Lauder and Amber, you've been lurking, not to us, and doom scrolling. Okay, well, now we called you out because we want you to have a. So here we go. Joe has a fine physique. I mean, we should actually screenshot this. Matter of fact, I think I will screenshot this so when he comes on, because I know we're never going to find it afterwards. What we're looking for.
That is true.
And I will send this to our producers to hold on. Tundra Cook says, "I'll take Joe for 200." All right. Exactly. I mean, I really. This goes because of the question you asked about whether or not this is the question you asked, right? Here you go. Now we know what's going to get people involved here. Okay. There we go. Get people involved here. Michael Missy wants to know, do you even lift?
Me?
He says, yeah, you said you would ask Joe how much does he bench press?
How much he benches? Yeah, that's just kind of a guy question.
The guy would. This is great, Missy. Hey, Michael Bryant, my partner. Do you even lift?
I see. It's called do you even lift? Oh, ouch, ouch. Let me. Ow, that hurt.
I can do 100 modified push-ups.
What is that? Is that a girl's push-up we used to call them, where you're on your knees?
Yeah, you're on your knees. It's a girl's push-up.
Well, that's a lot.
Girl's push-up, but I can do 100 of those. Yeah, when I was really out of shape, I decided I'm going to start with one. I was like, because I said I used to do these when I had a trader, right? And then day 2, I did 2, And then day 3, I did 3.
And you got up to 100 doing that?
And I got up to 100. Now I've decided to like stay right there.
That's a good number.
That's 100's a good number,
Yeah, that's a good number.
It's a good number. I think there's a disparity with evidence. Alec Baldwin case was dismissed. YSL case continued the case despite evidence being withheld. And now Rocky, the bullets being collected by a witness, right? The cartridges being collected by a witness. It goes to show you that the criminal justice system, although I have to say, we did have what? We had a not guilty in Penny McGee, right?
Right.
What else did we have this week?
Well, you have the
directed verdict in Jackie Johnson. Right. We did have with YSL, we did have the complete not guilty that our friend Doug Weinstein got. So we're seeing some, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have, the numbers, a broader number base. Maybe it's because these are the cases that have gotten a little more attention and it skews the stats. I don't know, but it is disturbing, to see all of these cases, Ty Tucker.
Oh, yeah. Not guilty with the kid and his mom. Add to that.
Not guilty on the kid with, the one that just happened. Yeah. That one was a little more surprising to me, and I hadn't followed it in all that much detail, but it was a gruesome case, and I think the acquittal was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, well, because he killed his father like 2 years ago, right? And it was never charged because it was determined to be self-defense, and now he killed his mom supposedly in a suicide by son, and found not guilty. I mean, I just I didn't follow the case. I don't know if all of you did, but my point is that we're seeing, I think, a kickback, right? And I don't mean a monetary kickback, a kickback on
pendulum swinging. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I hate to avoid. Whenever I think of pendulum, I think of Pitt and the pendulum. So with the Edgar Allan Poe. So right, I know.
Story and
so every time you say that, I was
trying to think of
something else.
Society that happens. So I don't know if it's hey, let's jump on the bandwagon of more defense-oriented decisions, or if it's just these particular cases are not good. And I like it because the system seems to work, right?
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but it's an adversarial system. And you put these two sides in the arena with the best weapons they've got, they go at it, and may the better man or woman win.